It's WRVS 89.9, your community voice and your home of Cheryl Underwood Radio, the most popular late-night radio show in the 252, weeknights at 10. Clay Mercer here with you, and we have more of your requests on the way. Plus, we're going to give you some details about some of the entertaining weekend programming that we have coming up for you. But today is a special edition of Conversations with the Chancellor. I call this the Ask ECSU edition of Conversations with the Chancellor, and I'm joined, as always, by the Chancellor of Elizabeth City State University, Dr. Karrie Dixon. Chancellor Dixon, welcome to your show.
I am delighted to be back, Clay. How are you?
Doing very, very well during these stay-at-home times, I guess is what we're dealing with. Is that what we call this?
Stay-at-home time, make the best of it.
That's right. Definitely. So hopefully you and your family are safe and y'all are relaxing and getting through this period of time at home.
Well, I'm not going to say relaxing, but we are safe and we are healthy. We are, just as everyone else, just trying to adjust to the uncertainty and still be productive and getting things done, our work, their school work, and just, trying to spend some family time together. If there's anything positive to acknowledge out of this, it's just the fact that more families are able to spend more time together. Now, that could be a good thing and a bad thing.
Very much so.
For us, it's a good thing because we're such a busy family.
Well, I tell you, it's allowed me to get some home improvement jobs done that I've been trying to do around the house. So that's what I've been doing over the past few days. But this is a special edition of the show, and I know that situations are changing regularly, so I thought it was really, really important that we do this show here, and we'll continue with the next show, which is always the fourth Wednesday of every month. But we have a real special guest with us on the line also. Not only do we have Chancellor Dixon, but we also have ECSU Provost Dr. Farrah Ward. Dr. Ward, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Clay. I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, glad to have you back. As I said before, when you was on before, we're going to have you on more often. So I'm glad to have your voice on the show today. And we have a lot of information to give to the people. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And Provost Ward, I'm going to come to you first. And this period of time is a transition for everyone, including the deans and the department chairs who have been tasked with moving to online teaching. For some, this is probably their first introduction to this type of teaching. What has been the response from the faculty here at ECSU?
Well, absolutely. Of course, like higher ed institutions across the nation, we had to rapidly change from face-to-face courses to online courses. I will say, while it wasn't a lot of lead time, we did have about 2 weeks. And so luckily I had conversations with faculty about 2 weeks ahead of the closure, kind of preparing them that this could be a possible wave. And so when we look at our faculty, about 65% of our faculty actually had either taught an online class or were actively using our learning management system, and we use Blackboard here at ECSU. So that was one positive. Mm-hmm. Of course, our faculty who teach our traditional online classes, they go through an extensive training through an external company called Quality Matters. But at this point, we just had to get all the courses online. And so we used a variety of things. Of course, we ended spring break a little early, gave faculty about 3 days to just work with each other to get their courses online. Our distance education department has been phenomenal in making this transition happen. But I'll tell you one thing, Clay, that I knew that our faculty had it in, but what we really found is that faculty peer-to-peer has really been really instrumental. Mm-hmm. Faculty members who have more experience in a discipline, again, were very readily helping their peers in order to transition. And so that's really how we got through all of this. And now we're 100% online. And I'm excited that I've had little fever from the students. And so we are making that transition happen, and we will get through this.
I love that. And in order to make this transition successful, I think it's important that we provide the faculty and students with the necessary tools. What were some of the steps that we're taking to help prepare everyone for this?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when you think about kind of what was the one thing that I worried about the most, it definitely was not necessarily the faculty. I thought that they would adjust, and they did. It was really about the access to students. And so, we have a very diverse population. And so I knew relatively quickly that some of our students would not have access to computers or even internet access. I think the one thing that this exposed even greater was the disparity with internet access across, particularly northeastern North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the things that I was concerned about. And so very quickly, even before they left for spring break, we created an online form that students could fill out to tell us, did you need a computer? Did you need Wi-Fi internet access? And so that's one of the things that we pushed out, mailing computers. Now, what I didn't anticipate is, well, of course, since everyone across the nation is going to online, there's a nationwide shortage with laptops or even Wi-Fi hotspots.
Oh, wow.
And so we have really had to do some kind of digging to make sure we found, got people calling individual stores in the area, because the nationwide, Verizon and AT&T stores like that, they are really out or holding them for hospitals. And so that's the one biggest concern. And so we're all almost over that hump. We just have a few students who we need to get hotspots to, but our faculty have been understanding. We made sure that we communicated that to them, because we just want to all get through this together.
You're listening to an Ask ECSU edition of Conversations with the Chancellor. Clay Mercer here with the Provost of Elizabeth City State University, Dr. Farrah Ward. And Dr. Ward, emergency grading guidelines became effective on March 30th, and some students seemed a little confused on how this would affect their GPA. If you could, please explain the guidelines and the options afforded to the students.
Absolutely. So the faculty, again, this was led with the faculty, felt really passionate about instituting some flexibility, because, of course, our students, again, I alluded to the Wi-Fi access, but the other thing is that, they're going to home. Sometimes their younger siblings are, of course, working at home as well, and so they're jogging for the computer access. And so we instituted a pass-fail option, and so I'll make sure I explain it so hopefully students are listening so they can hear loud and clear. Mm-hmm. Basically, all students will receive a grade at the end of the semester. So regardless, they'll get a grade in the course. And the students can decide to keep their grade. I'm sure if they get an A, they'll decide to keep their grade. And if they do, that grade will be factored into their grade point average as normal. But if they decide not to keep a grade, suppose they get a C, it actually works for any grade A through D. They can choose to get a pass. If they get an A through D, it will convert to a pass grade. And if they choose the pass-fail option, then they will get the credits for the course. So if they're taking a 3-credit course, they'll get the credits, but no letter grade will factor into their grade point average. Similarly, if they get an F for some reason in a course and they choose the pass-fail option, the fail also will not count into their GPA. And so that's really the advantage of choosing the pass-fail option. You get the credits for the course, but neither the pass nor the fail factor into your grade point average.
Very interesting. And if you want to see more about this, you can find it online in the newsroom at newsroom.ecsu.edu. And Provost Ward, the future, of course, is very uncertain, and we don't know when normal operations will begin. But with that said, I think it's still important for ECSU to continue to recruit new Vikings and continue to grow enrollment as much as we can. Spring Open House has been canceled, but there must be a plan in place. How are we moving forward with promoting ECSU to prospective students and their parents?
Absolutely. We're excited that, although the pandemic is an unfortunate thing, at least it's happening in 2020 where we still connected with individuals virtually. Mm-hmm. And so we will be having a virtual open house on April 18th. And so we're making sure that we get all our videos, and we'll be live to answer questions so that we can still accommodate those students who are interested in learning about ECSU. Luckily, we have quite a few videos, so we'll be able to show the campus, and students can still see the wonderful things that we have here on campus to offer them. We know that new students, in particular first-time freshmen who are intended to graduate, we know that they're going to miss their prom and their graduation. And so it's important for us to really make sure that when they come to ECSU in the fall, and we will be open and live for business, that we are here to make sure that transition is smooth, and we will celebrate them. So please make sure that they are encouraged that we are still available. I will say one thing, Clay, that the UNC system put in place, and that was a modification of our minimum admission requirements. That's particularly because some of the SATs that were being taken later on in the semester in March, they were canceled. SAT, ACT, because of COVID-19, they got canceled. And so we know that some students either didn't take the SAT or ACT, or maybe they wanted to take it for a second time. And so our new admission standards actually say that any student who has a 2.5 GPA or a 1010 SAT or a 19 ACT will be able to be admitted to ECSU. And so we really encourage them to apply to the university, and we will definitely review their applications. Applications are still open. Students can apply at www.ecsu.edu/apply. So we welcome them, and we will be ready with smiling faces to greet them in August.
Always working hard. That's ECSU Provost Dr. Farrah Ward. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And Provost, stay on the line with me right now. I want to bring in Chancellor Dixon right now. And Chancellor, recent news released to the students about these refunds. I heard it was a big brouhaha on social media. Are we getting refunds? Are we going to get our money back? Well, information just released. And tell the listeners a little bit, and ECSU students who are listening, more about these developments.
Sure, Clay. So as you just acknowledged, yes, there was a lot of celebration that we saw on social media in that regard. And, you know, everything that we do, as the provost mentioned at ECSU, everything we do is just really focused on the health and well-being of our campus community. That's our main and our top priority. And so we recognize that, you know, this has put families, our students also in a very difficult situation, and it's one that's been shared across the country for many college students who were asked to remove themselves from the residence halls and to go back home, and they lost access, of course, to dining and also to their housing. And so the UNC Board of Governors, in consultation with the UNC System Office, decided that the best thing for us to do was to refund our students and their families at a prorated amount for their dining and housing. And so that is something that I think all of us agree was the best thing to do, because we do want our students and their families to understand that we're putting them first and as a priority. And so refund payment processes began this week, and they're expected to take no longer than 3 to 4 weeks. So all reimbursements should be administered and received by our students and their families no later than the end of April. And so we have our business and finance team working very diligently to make sure that they are processing all student refunds. Now, one thing to note is that students, the dining and the housing adjustments, will be based on their, if there are any outstanding charges that the student has on his or her account. Those charges, of course, will be settled before the refund is provided. So keep that in mind as you receive your refunds, and know that there is a calculation in place in this regard. So these payments will be made via direct deposit or a mailed check, and it's depending on how a student's account is configured. So students have been asking questions, which is fine, and we've gotten the go ahead this week to go ahead and start processing those refunds. So our students should be receiving those before the end of this month, and so we're very happy to be able to do this for our students.
You're listening to an Ask ECSU edition of Conversations with the Chancellor, and right now I'm speaking with ECSU Chancellor Dr. Karrie Dixon. And Chancellor Dixon, the UNC system is moving just as fluidly as this pandemic situation, and a lot of changes are being made. Is there anything on the upcoming schedule that you know of from the UNC system that we should be on the lookout for? Any upcoming meetings or any announcements that we should be on the lookout for?
Well, that's a really good question. As far as we have been told, the UNC Board of Governors are still planning to meet in April, and originally it was planned to be a meeting at UNC Pembroke. UNC Pembroke was going to host that meeting just as ECSU did back in November of 19. And so now with what we're dealing with COVID-19, they are now going to move that meeting to a virtual meeting, which was expected. So they will have the April meeting. Another thing to think about is we made an announcement this week, and actually late last week, that we're going to be moving summer school classes online. And so that's something that our students are going to be finding out about if they haven't already. And in regards to any upcoming meetings, I think everything has pretty much been put on hold or moved to virtual meetings and for the remainder of this month. And we don't really know what's going to happen in May. Some people are saying by mid-May. Some people are saying possibly the end of May we may get back to a norm. But now it seems as though it's still too early to project that. But one thing to keep in mind and consider is that this continues to change as they are anticipating the number of confirmed cases of coronavirus as that continues to increase. Of course, that extends our time in quarantine or stay-at-home mode. Mm-hmm. But as that number decreases, then we're likely to figure out exactly what those dates look like in regards to our students being able to return back to campus and our world getting somewhat back to the norm that we are familiar with.
Again, you're listening to Ask ECSU edition of Conversations with the Chancellor. And Chancellor, I want to bring you back in and talk a little bit about spring commencement. I know a lot of the students are still questioning what's going to happen with that. It was planned for Saturday, May 9th, and it's obviously been disrupted. Do you have any updates in regards to how we will celebrate our graduating seniors?
Sure. The provost and I felt very, very passionate about the fact that we wanted our seniors to be able to weigh in on what we decide to do in regards to spring commencement. And so, as you noted, initially spring commencement was scheduled for May 9th. And, there's a lot of excitement around spring commencement. Our graduates, our seniors are very excited. We're very excited, of course. And then we had to alter our plans, of course, under the circumstances. And so the provost and her team put together a survey that was administered to the seniors, and they were able to provide us feedback in regards to how they would like to celebrate their great accomplishment and in a ceremonial way. And so the results of that survey showed that the students would like to have commencement in August. And so what the provost and I are looking at is the date that could best fit their request to have their commencement ceremony in August. And so we're really excited about that. As you mentioned, this is something that everybody's experiencing. All the seniors around the country are basically having to deal with the same situation that our seniors are, and we want to be able to celebrate them. This is a great accomplishment, and they deserve, and their families deserve, that great opportunity to celebrate them in a very special way. So we want to make sure we give that to them, and according to the survey results, the majority of them did want to celebrate graduation in August. So we're looking at a date, and we will be announcing that soon.
I hope that works out. It's always a special moment, and August seems about right. So that might be a time where we can kind of move forward through this pandemic and be in a better place than where we are right now. You've been listening to Conversations with the Chancellor, and Chancellor Dixon, this is the time here where we come to an end and give you the closing remarks. So if you have a few words for the listeners, please go ahead and do that.
Sure, Clay. One thing I did forget to mention, and I know the provost, if she was still listening, she'll be like, Chancellor, you forgot the most important part. The most important part is the students their degrees will be conferred in May. So they will still receive their degree in May. Okay. So the conferment of degrees will occur in May. However, the ceremony will be moved to August, and we'll let everyone and all of our listeners know what that date will be in August. But again, to the listeners, thank you so much for all your support of ECSU. This is a very, very challenging time from the standpoint of it being new and a new way of doing things, and also just a different way of learning, teaching, and running an institution. And if anything, how we all fit into the bigger picture of this as community members across the state and even beyond. And so I'm just grateful to have such a dedicated faculty staff, a great team of administrators, my provost, my vice chancellors who have been diligently working with our faculty, staff, and our students every single day. And, some people say working from home should be easier, but I beg to differ because we're working longer hours, it feels like. I mean, it never stops. And that's okay because we want the institution to continue to progress and to grow. We're also very fortunate to have a wonderful board of trustees. Our ECSU Board of Trustees, under the leadership of our chair, Jan King Robinson, have been significant in keeping us, encouraged and great champions for the university in the community and beyond. So we're grateful for that as well. So to our listeners, our students, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, thank you all for all that you are doing to continue to make this university great. And I know that it is, and I know all of you believe that, and we will be here. We will be thriving. We are the future, and we are excited about everything that we're going to accomplish at ECSU. And most importantly, we can't wait to get our students back and our faculty and staff. The campus is so lonely without them, and we want them back on campus. So hopefully, it'll be soon, but we just have to stick together and get through this. So Vikings, we need to stick together, band together. Let's do this. Let's get through this. Let's stay healthy, stay well, stay safe, and we will meet back up again. But Clay, thank you for having me and the provost on today to provide an update, and we're happy to do that as often as you need us to, because we want to keep your listeners and our listeners informed.
Listeners, trust me when I tell you, when you have leaders like these two ladies right here, it only can mean a bright future for Elizabeth City State University. I thank ECSU Chancellor Dr. Karrie Dixon and ECSU Provost Dr. Farrah Ward for joining me here on today's show, and I'm sure you both will be back with me real soon.
Definitely.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Conversations with the Chancellor. Don't forget, you can join us every fourth Wednesday of the month for the regular show, and that'll be at 4 p.m. You can also catch up on previous shows on the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel. Make sure you all stay tuned. We have more of your feel-good favorites on the way. You're listening to Afternoon Delight Radio Show.